Hello everyone and welcome to the Bandit's Den. Somebody requested a video from me. And I much appreciate that, especially on this topic. But I am going through a rough time in life right now, and it definitely helps me to focus on this subject specifically because this has made up a good portion of my life. And a portion of my life has revolved around this topic for the last 3.5 years. And so I much appreciate this being a request. Snowrider4363 says, "Nice hike. Can you do a video on why you quit drinking alcohol and your benefits? I recently quit and my sleep is a lot better and feel better in general. Thanks." Now I've had to start re-recording this a few times because I'm a little nervous. I believe this is the first time in over a year I've shown up on this channel in this format, the talking head format. I think before this, I've been faceless on this channel, so I'm getting back into the swing of things. I'm not used to this, and hopefully I don't look a year older than I did a year ago. So anyways, this is going to include a portion of my life story. Excuse me. And so if anybody's not interested in hearing part of my life story, by all means, you don't have to listen to me. But for everybody else who's interested to hear about why I quit drinking alcohol, you can stick around. Stay a while and listen. So, the reason I quit drinking alcohol is because it was fucking problematic for me. I've been sober, for 3.5 years. I identify myself as an alcoholic, though. I've proven this to myself that I'm a real alcoholic because before this 3.5 years of sobriety, I drank for a little over a year. But before that, a little over a year that I drank for, I was sober for almost 3 years. And then prior to that, I didn't know much of sobriety since I was, I don't know, a little bit after 15 years old or something. At least I didn't know freedom from obsession to drink and use drugs since I was 15. Because back then, once I got a tiny taste of it, it was on. And I would count down the school days until summer and stuff so that I could wild out because my school drug tested. So, and there was a while in my life where I couldn't not smoke weed too. But after I got off probation one time, it just doesn't really do it for me. And I've tried smoking weed a couple times, and I just don't really like it much. So anyways, alcohol is the main culprit here, for me anyway. Now, if you like to have a glass of wine on whatever day or whatever, I'm not trying to bash you or anything. Supposedly a glass of wine has major health benefits, and that's fine if you like to have a glass of wine once in a while, whatever. I'm not trying to bash on you for drinking alcohol or anything. You can drink if you want, but for me, it's no good. For me personally, I can't handle that shit. I started partying pretty hard once I turned 18, and the party didn't stop. The party just kept on going all the time. And maybe when I was 26 or 27, something like that, I just had enough. I had gotten beaten down so much by it that I ended up submitting myself to a rehab. I couldn't not drink and use substances. Fuck, man. There was like 6 or 7 years of my life where I did cocaine every fucking day. It was ridiculous. I went back and tried to calculate how many dollars I blew on that shit, and it's like, fuck. If only I had put that in Bitcoin, I'd be almost a fucking billionaire by now. Because back then, Bitcoin was like $40 a coin or some shit. So, instead, I decided to do stupid things. And I won a stupid prize, and that's being farther behind in life than I would really like to be at my age. I'm in my mid-30s now, and I'm finally at a point in my career now where I'm making six figures. And it took me so long. I could have almost been doing this when I was 22 if I hadn't fucked around. Anyways, that aside, my whole life hinged on drinking and doing substances for a long time. It fucked up all my relationships. There was one really good ex that I think it would have worked out between me and her if I hadn't been such a drunken fuck up. Then all of my other exes, they were the same as me. And so I don't know if anything fruitful would have came out of that. I don't know. A lot of them were just as fucked up as I was, and it wasn't pretty. None of my relationships were very pretty for very long. And it also affected my work life. It affected my life choices. Most of my decisions were determined by king alcohol and other substances. Well, anyway, I ended up submitting myself to rehab, which was heavy on this one recovery program. And for me to be able to stay there and still go get some fresh air outside of the rehab, I had to go on these field trips to this recovery program. And so I had, it wasn't forced exposure, but in order to not get cabin fever, I had to go get exposure to this, and I was really resistant to it because I was an atheist at the time. Now, with this specific program, you don't have to not be an atheist. You could still be an atheist. But it changed my mind on some things, and that's the whole point, right? Anyway, it didn't change my mind at all that first time. I wanted to half-ass this shit, and I wanted to check boxes off until I'm cured. And that's what I was there to do. And I couldn't understand why the fuck I was sober a couple years in. I was sober, but I was so fucking unhappy and miserable. And my whole life was just not turning out to what I wanted it to be. And it was all my fucking fault. And I was so pissed off and angry. That's not to say I'm not nowadays. I do have a lot of misanthropy in me and other things. But I'm certainly a lot better than I used to be back then. So anyway, I half-assed this shit, checked off check boxes, and then didn't even finish checking off check boxes, and I stopped being involved with it, and lo and behold, I ended up relapsing. I used to bemoan relapsers. I didn't understand, well, how could you relapse? If you were as bad as I was, then you wouldn't be fucking relapsing. Maybe you just need to burn all your fucking bridges, fuck up your work life, fuck up fucking 20, 30 relationships. Maybe you need to be homeless like I was. Maybe you need to do all of those things plus burn all of your friend bridges and have no safety net left. Because that time it was my birthday, and I called my biological mother at the time, and I told her, because nobody seemed to give a shit about me. I was spending my birthday alone. One guy brought me a cake, and I got all fucking beside myself and cried and stuff because I thought for sure nobody gave a fuck about me anymore. But then I called my mom and told her all I wanted for my birthday was to get sober. So that's how I ended up at that first rehab, right? So, check boxes, half-assing, and then I ended up relapsing. I thought, and this is how fucked up my alcoholic mind is I can convince myself of things that will bring me closer and closer to that first drink without me realizing what the fuck is going on. See, it even went months before I thought it was a good idea to try brewing alcohol. I made a lot of shitty life choices. I moved in with somebody I didn't get along with, and they fucked with me all the time. And then, before I knew it, I was thinking, man, you know what would be cool is if I tried brewing alcohol for scientific purposes. I really want to know what the process is like. And so I researched it. I started doing it. And I was like, I'm going to have a friend try this when it's done. I'm going to have a friend try this. I'm not going to drink it. They're just going to tell me how it is. And by the time it was done brewing, I was like, maybe a tiny taste will do. It can't hurt, right? A little tiny taste. Man, I remember that day like it's yesterday. I took a little tiny taste of this shitty mead in an old water bottle that I made. I made it in an old water bottle with fucking raisins in it. And I ate one of the raisins and took a little sip of it, and it tasted just like wine. And I was like, fuck, this is pretty good. Maybe I'll have a glass. Because I had a sip and I'm not going crazy, right? So I must not be alcoholic. And so I had a glass and I got a good buzz on, and I didn't have another glass that night. So the next day, I was like, well, that experiment last night went so good. I got a nice buzz and my head didn't explode and my life isn't in shambles. So tonight, I'll have another glass. So I did. And then after a couple weeks of that, one glass wasn't enough to give me a good enough buzz. So then I would have 2. And then 3, 4. Then I would end up drinking a whole gallon. So I had all these fucking gallons set up so that I could have 1 gallon per night. And I was like, I'm not going to buy any alcohol from the store. That's my boundary with myself. Is I'm not going to buy any alcohol from the store, and I'll just drink all the stuff I brew at home. Well, before long enough, I would either get so drunk I would forget to start brewing more alcohol because I was running out, or I just couldn't keep up with my demand, with the supply that I was able to give myself with this little corner of the house that was good for brewing alcohol. And I ended up buying booze in the store. I went against my own boundary with myself. I pretty much lied to myself without even knowing it. I guess I wasn't lying to myself. It was false, but I believed it to be the truth. So I wasn't lying to myself even though it was wrong. So, fast forward a year later, I had bought this house, and I was still drinking. I don't know if any of you remember, I even drank a Tempranillo on camera one time in the middle of the snow, because it snowed a lot that year in my backyard. I took the day off of work, because there was so much snow, went to the store, bought a Tempranillo that one of you gave me money for. I don't know if that person's even around anymore, because I've changed my lifestyle so much, and so many people have unsubscribed. But yeah, they gave me money and wanted me to drink a Tempranillo while making a video about something. Probably something complaining about women or whatever. All that shit I used to do. Anyways, yeah, I drank for a while again. And I just kept getting worse and worse. I think some people that might still watch my channel saw my decline. I was fucking falling apart, dude. Man, I posted some weird ass shit and I was fucking insane. I was batshit fucking crazy and I was losing it, man. Seriously, losing it. God. Some people reached out and were actually concerned about me for my channel. And rightfully so. But I think, I don't remember a whole lot of it, but I think I think I was just like really defensive and stuff with them. And that's probably because I knew I had a problem. So anyways, yeah, eventually I hit rock bottom. And believe it or not, somebody from my channel helped me out, and I still talk to them a lot. They're very dear to me, very dear. They helped me out and helped me get sober again. They practically saved my life. And I don't think they even watch my channel anymore. But I get emotional whenever I talk about this, because that was a moment in my life where I had pissed so many people off on my channel. My father was dead. My biological mom didn't seem to give a shit about me. My brother, I think, was tired of my shit too. And I had no safety net. I really didn't. And yeah, I thought for sure I was going to like fuck up my career and have to start over. And I thought I was going to lose my house. I thought I was going to lose everything, man, to my alcoholism. And this wonderful person came in and saved me from that. I still feel like I owe them a lot. So, man, still today, I tear up about it. Shit. I mean, that's how real my alcoholism is, right? Like, even 3.5 years later, I get all fucking teary-eyed over something like that. Over how beat up I was and how I thought for sure nobody would help me out and stuff. And yeah, I'm so grateful for that. Those were trying times in my life, man. And see, this is why I quit alcohol, because it's like so destructive for me to drink alcohol. For me, not for you. I mean, whoever. I mean, there's probably somebody watching this video where they just like can't even understand how I could get to that point, and that's fine. You can probably drink a beer and be fine. But for me, I can't drink again. I need not drink ever again. Because I proved to myself, I had that length of sobriety, and in a year, I was pretty much down at rock bottom, where it took me almost 10 years to get that first time. And so, God, I would hate to see, if I did start drinking alcohol again, what would happen. Like, maybe I would hit rock bottom in 6 weeks or something like that. It's scary, scary shit. So that's why I quit drinking alcohol. It fucks me up, dude. It really fucks me up. My whole life starts revolving around it. And alcohol doesn't love me. It will fuck me up. And it'll kill me eventually. So I need to stay away from it. Yeah. What else was I going to say? Fuck. So, anyways, as far as benefits from not drinking anymore, one benefit is not losing my fucking mind. Because I'm definitely an alcoholic. I lose my fucking mind eventually with that stuff. I'm just like any of these people on the street you see that have an alcohol problem. I'm just like them. It's just, I was fortunate enough I did end up like that one time, but I'm fortunate enough for that to have not become my permanent state. And I'm very lucky, very fortunate. I have a lot to be grateful for. Thank you a lot for this topic request. But aside from not losing my fucking mind, my benefits, I mean, I don't know how much you were drinking, man. I don't know how much you were drinking, Snowrider. But for me, I was drinking so much. I could be hungover. I could not drink the whole workday and still be hungover by the end of the day. Then come home and drink so fucking much, I'd be hungover all the next day again. And I never got the shakes like a lot of alcoholics do. But, and it's surprising I never did. Because, yeah, I was all over the place with that stuff. So, one thing I remember health-wise from drinking is that I would eat dinner, right? I would eat dinner, and then I would drink. I would drink myself into oblivion. And sometimes I would wake up the next morning sick as fuck, and sometimes I would vomit. And I would vomit up my dinner from the night before totally undigested. It hadn't been able to be digested. I don't know if my body was too busy processing all of that alcohol I was putting into it. I don't know if my digestive system would just like shut down because I was putting so much poison into my body. I don't know what was going on with that, but my dinner, I could eat it at 5 p.m., drink my ass off all night, and wake up at 5 in the morning and barf out a fully intact meal like I had just chewed it like 2 minutes ago. So that was scary. It was scary at the time, but I'm such an alcoholic that scariness didn't affect me. I watched my father die an alcoholic death, and I'll tell you what happens there. What happens there is that your body stops being able to filter out poisons, toxins, and those toxins affect your brain. All that shit that your liver filters out, it affects your brain. That's why you need to be filtering that shit out. And so it was shutting down, I guess, his cerebral cortex, which regulates your bodily functions, including breathing. And so I pretty much watched him slowly suffocate to death over the course of a week. So just imagine week-long suffocation. That would be terrible, man. It looked terrible. So there's a health benefit there. I don't have to die an alcoholic death as long as I stay quit drinking. I don't vomit out totally undigested food from the night before in the morning. I'm safer at work because I'm not all hungover or even drunk from the night before. I'm a lot safer at work. I feel a lot more comfortable doing more dangerous stuff because I'm here on this fucking planet instead of out of my goddamn mind. You know, I remember when I was drinking, I would be so afraid even on 10-foot ladders on some days because I would feel so shitty. I didn't even want to be up on a 10-foot ladder. But yeah, my sleep is better. Not only did alcohol pretty much keep me from sleeping, but also I would keep me from sleeping trying to drink as much alcohol as I could before I go to bed. And so it'd be like one more. Then before I know it, it's midnight, and I would get 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and really restless sleep in general. So, you know, there's another benefit to having quit alcohol, and I owe most of it to the recovery program that I'm in. The recovery program that I'm in is really proactive, and it teaches me a lot about myself. Like, kind of like I was talking about in the hiking the volcanoes, I need to look at my actions. There was a point in recovery where I was learning how to look at everything I do, break things apart, look at them objectively, and consider where I would be comfortable and willing to change. And when it came to what I ate, I was like, fuck. Because I'm supposed to reduce my harm as much as possible. At least that's how I interpret the recovery program. I'm supposed to reduce my harm to others as much as possible, so that I don't have to feel bad about it. Keeping my side of the street clean kind of thing. And I couldn't not include animals in that, because I'm aware animals are sentient beings, and I'm certain that they feel similar emotions to what I do. Like, yeah, they're like little kids, but I'm sure they feel similar to how I do. Like, I know Klaus gets excited. He's not even as smart as the average pig, and because dogs aren't as smart as pigs, and so it's like, what the fuck am I doing? Eating this pizza that has pig on it. Then I didn't even think about the cheese at the time. So I really thought about it and meditated on that shit a lot. And ultimately came to the conclusion that I will try not consuming this shit. And if I find for some reason that I absolutely need to go back to consuming it, I can. And no loss there, but I haven't found a reason to go back. I've been doing fine. So that was one major dramatic life shift for me that happened as a result of quitting alcohol, because then I got into this program that taught me how to review everything in my life. Okay, you see how bad I am at this, being a talking head shit. I went to a dark place and I fucking doxed myself. Holy shit. So I had to cut that out. Anyways, I've got to, in sobriety, I have had the opportunity to revisit a lot of my preconceived notions about a lot of things. And as I was told when I first got into it, I would find that I keep some things. And that's because there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing or whatever. Things that seem like they're getting in the way or something, changing those could get more in the way of my vision of how I want my life to look and how I think the world should be. Changing those could get more in the way than not. And so there's some things that I've found work. Some things that I've found are just not how I work and what I feel comfortable with. And so I've had this wonderful opportunity to consider change. Just consider it. And anytime anything comes up in my head that is an obstacle, I get to consider changing. And because of that, that's what I was talking about in that hiking video, is that because of that, I'm able to evolve as an individual and become more like, I guess, what I was supposed to be, rather than just continuing to be an angry, fucked up person on the inside. Somebody that's all mixed up, thinks the world is out to get them, and I can easily go back to that sometimes, and I need to sit down, take a breath, and think about shit. And that's exactly what I do, and that's how I've been able to not have a single drink in 3.5 years, and I hope to be able to have that theme continue for the rest of my life. When I was drinking, I thought I loved and needed alcohol. But without alcohol now, I can't imagine how terrible my life would be with it again. It would be awful. That goes the same for other lifestyle changes that I've made ever since I got sober. I just can't imagine my life a different way now. It would be so fucked up. So anyways, thank you for the topic request. I know the answer was kind of long-winded, but my whole life as it is right now, I owe to not drinking. And I wouldn't have it any other way. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you for the topic request. And as always, peace. For real. Later.